The first recorded murder in history wasn't committed by a stranger. It wasn't driven by war. It wasn't political. It was a brother killing his own brother. And that single ancient act might tell us more about the nature of evil than all the true crime documentaries in the world. Think about it. This happened before there were cities, before prisons, before laws were ever written down. Two brothers, Cain and Abel, stood alone in a field. One felt rejected, overlooked. The other was favored. There was no weapon forged in hatred, no elaborate plan. There was just raw, unfiltered emotion. Jealousy, pride, resentment. And in a single devastating moment, that emotion turned fatal. The first murder wasn't some random act of chaos. It was deeply personal. Today, we're fascinated by crime. We watch documentaries. We analyze serial killers. We study complex psychological profiles, looking for the monster gene. But this earliest story of violence doesn't involve a psychopath. It involves a wounded ego, a bruised sense of worth, a feeling that many of us, if we're being honest, have experienced in some small way. The scriptures describe something truly chilling that happened right before the act. A warning was given. Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. Crouching, like a predator, coiled and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The implication here is profoundly disturbing. Evil doesn't just explode out of nowhere. It waits. It studies our weaknesses. It feeds on the dark emotions we refuse to confront and control. When we hear about terrible crimes today, our first instinct is to look for monsters. We want to believe that the perpetrators are fundamentally different from us. But the reality is, most offenders weren't born violent. Something festered inside them for a long, long time. Envy, humiliation, bitterness, isolation. The same things that festered in Cain. That first murder wasn't an act of supernatural possession or a case of being born evil. It was unchecked human emotion, allowed to grow until it became destructive. And that's what makes this ancient story so terrifyingly relevant. It suggests that the line between good and evil doesn't run between us and them. It runs straight through the middle of every single human heart. We all have that capacity for jealousy, for resentment. The question is, what do we do with it? The story doesn't end with the act itself. It ends with a quiet, haunting question. Where is your brother? It wasn't shouted in anger or screamed in accusation. It was just asked. A simple question that hangs in the air, forcing a confrontation not with a divine judge, but with one's own conscience. Because evil doesn't always roar like a monster. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it looks like someone we know. Sometimes, if we're not careful, it looks like us. The story of the first murder was never just about physical violence. It was about the human heart and its capacity for both incredible good and terrible darkness. It's a mirror held up to our own nature, and that's why, thousands of years later, it still matters. It's a timeless warning that the most dangerous battle we will ever fight is the one within ourselves. Thanks for watching. If this gave you something to think about, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world.